If you're somebody who gets pinching in their wrist while they're in wrist extension, while they're doing push-ups, or while they're in a quadruped doing a cat-cow, then you need more wrist extension and likely more wrist flexion, and you should probably watch the rest of this video. First, what we're gonna do is go over the concept of cars though. Are you familiar with cars? Have you heard Bass talk about that?
Yeah.
So you're gonna do a wrist car. The point of the wrist car is for you to separate your wrist from your elbow and your wrist from your hand. Okay, so this is the only thing that's supposed to be moving. So for your wrist car, if you do it with a straight hand, you'll feel your hand cupping. You're welcome to have your fist, like your hand into a fist. The other thing is as you move your wrist, you're gonna feel this wanting to happen, where your elbow is what's rotating, right? Like this is my elbow moving, this is my wrist moving. And so when someone's like, oh, my wrist is fine, and they're doing like all this, that's my elbow moving with my wrist together. So what we need to do is start with a wrist car, work through it wherever we can, and then what I want you to do is let me know if there's pinching or anything through that. So let's start with a fist so you can get a feel for it. Go up into wrist flexion like that, and then go into a big circle, and I want you to kind of work your way through that, and don't let this rotate at all, right? And you're welcome to hold yourself if you want to start that way. And just get a sense of what range of motion you have.
So right here is pretty tight.
Is it pinching here?
Yeah.
It's pinching? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and try to keep this, relax for a minute. Try to keep this more upright like that. And now work through that for a second. And let's just go slow and work your way through and see like what's there, what's not there. So right there, do you see how you're starting to rotate at the elbow? So try to keep that more neutral and then see where you can actually move. It's a very slow and deliberate practice, and this is kind of exposing any weak spots in the areas that we need to open up. And if there's one thing you're doing to maintain your health, the health of your wrist currently, do your wrist car, assuming there's no pain or pinching. Now let's go the other way and work through that in reverse.
That's definitely more like.
And you see how much you're kind of shaking there as you do that?
Yeah.
And then reverse. Are you getting pinching underneath right here? No? Okay.
It's all right here.
In that one quadrant right here? Okay. So for your wrists, on a daily basis, I want you doing the wrist car. Okay. You can do it with the fist closed, you can do it with the hand like this. I want you to try the hand like this and just see how different it feels for a minute. And try not to let your hand cup, because that's the bones in your hand compensating rather than the bones in your wrist, right? I'm trying to get the bones in the wrist to do all the work in isolation. Afterwards, we're gonna do 2 drills to kind of open up the wrist in 2 different positions. But this is like your warm-up in a sense. Okay, so go ahead and work through that for a minute. Let me just get a sense of where you can move.
Does it matter which side?
No, you can go clockwise then counterclockwise. So right there, you see how your hands want to cup?
So keep it straight.
Yeah, totally. And just get a sense of where you can actually move. So you feel your elbow rotating there? Yeah, so you don't have that much there. And then back around. Yep, perfect. You see how much the hand wants to cut, right? That's okay. Thumb too. And you see how glitchy it is, how it's like skipping around, right? That glitchiness is a way I would like look at that as your wrist is kind of disconnected from your nervous system. When you have an injury, you get disconnected first, and that's your body's way of protecting it, right? You're like guarding against an injury, right? So if you like go up into here and you start cupping your hand, or you go up into here and your elbow starts twisting, that's your body's mechanism of guarding the injury. Your job is to kind of expose it and try to work through that as best you can, assuming there's no pain, right? If it's popping, crunching, things like that, that's all fine. But your car is the way to use it so you don't lose it, and to kind of keep bringing life back to your wrist, It definitely makes sense on your own time to play around with the left side and model it compared to the right. My right wrist is my bad wrist as well, and so when I do wrist work, I start with my left so that this can kind of like follow suit for what a better wrist looks like. Does that kind of make sense? What we're going to do next is a concept called pails and rails, where you're doing isometric contractions. Let me put this away and then we'll get you on the mat. So like the wrist car itself isn't going to like fix your wrist per se, but what is going to fix your wrist is creating more range of motion and then strengthening that range of motion. So what I'm going to have you do is sit on the mat and face me, and we're going to have you be in this type of setup, palm down actually, other way. No, like that. Yeah. Okay, so a couple things I want you to work on here. Split your fingers for me, and then try to push this down to the floor. Are you in pain right now?
Yeah.
Is it a stretch or is it pain?
It's pain.
Okay, can we try to breathe through it for a minute and
sure.
see if we can turn it down a little bit? So breathing is a good way of trying to turn pain signaling off. And you and I, so keep maintaining that position. When somebody has pain in a joint, a good way of addressing it is just exposing it to pain points, right? Like people tend to avoid pain when they're like moving a joint that gives them problems, but that's kind of the problem is you're avoiding the position that your body doesn't want to get into, right? I'm trying to force you into that position in a controlled manner, and then you're gonna build up from there, right? So the name of the game is repeated exposure to troubled positions. Are you getting any kind of stretch on this side at all?
Yeah.
Okay, focus on really deep diaphragm breathing, like you're getting a deep, satisfying breath there. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at for that stretch?
It's definitely there.
It's there?
Yeah.
Okay, just hang out that for right now, and just let that open up. So the idea is that if you maintain that while I say this, but if you lack wrist extension, you don't have enough joint space to go into this. So we're gonna open you up the other way. Open that side up, right?
Okay.
So that when you go into wrist extension, you have enough range of motion to actually move into it. It's kind of like a door hinge and it has to swing both ways.
Okay.
Your wrist isn't good at swinging this way. So by default, it's worse at swinging this way, okay? And so we kind of have to like reverse engineer it in a sense, okay? Usually we sit here for like over 2 minutes when you're doing just passive stretching. If you can handle pushing this down a little bit more, do that. And if you can't, it's okay. I want you to go where you can go because I don't want you hurting it. Yeah. It's up to you to kind of give yourself repeated exposure at whatever level you can handle. All right, you doing okay with it?
Yeah.
All right, that's 2 minutes. Don't move a thing now. So you're gonna try doing an isometric contraction. Okay, an isometric means you're creating tension, but not moving. Okay, so your hand's on the ground like this. What I want you to do is push the back of your hand down into the ground. So imagine I'm trying to like pick your fingers up.
Yep.
So you feel this tensing instead of stretching. The sensation shifted from a stretch sensation to a contraction. Try to keep your elbows straight as well if you can help it. Keep pushing down. So imagine I'm here and I'm trying to like pick your hand up, and you're actually trying to do this, right? And relax, don't move a thing. Try pushing this down a little bit more, and if you need to lean forward a bit, that's okay. Right there, that's a better stretch, right?
Yep.
What if I told you to do this? Is that a bigger stretch?
It's about the same.
It's about the same? Okay, hang out with that. Push that down a little bit more. Beautiful. Big deep breath. Try to relax there. Okay, so you see how we did an isometric there, and then we eased into a deeper stretch, and you notice you're actually in deeper wrist flexion than you were, a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
So now this is going to be your real set. So don't move a thing. Again, push the wrist into the ground, so you're trying to extend it, but this shouldn't move at all. Okay, so you're in here, this position, you're trying to extend, but the floor is what's blocking you. This stretched area is now contracting again. Are you able to feel that transition?
Yeah.
That transition is what you're working on. This is the training stimulus for your wrist, okay? This is what's gonna open your wrist up, okay? So go ahead and keep pushing down. Yep, and if I were to like try to pick your fingers up, you see I couldn't, right? There's like tension being driven. If someone walks past you, it doesn't really look like you're doing a whole lot, right? But you're creating tension, and that's the name of the game for this. Beautiful. Good. Give me another 10, 9, see if you can push a little bit harder. 8. You feel more tension driven there, right? 7, 6, 5, good. Keep, I'm just checking you here. Keep trying to push down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, don't move a thing. Now you're gonna do the reverse. So you're here, try to pick your hands up off the ground. Can you squeeze this portion of your wrist? Do you see how you're trying to go deeper into wrist flexion? Do you feel the tension shift from this side to this side now?
It's still pretty hard on
the other side. So try to pick this up off the ground. Yeah. Keep trying to peel up off the ground. Do you feel any tension right here where my pen's at? Keep trying.
A little bit when I'm...
Find more then. You see that's starting to creep in a little bit. If you cup your hand and that helps, do that. Good? Good. Hold it. Straighten the elbow a little bit. Yeah, there you go. And then keep trying to pick that up. You see how you're now trying to peel off the floor, and the tension is on the other side now, right?
Yeah.
Keep trying to go up. Keep squeezing. Very good. Straighten the elbow. Keep trying to get a little bit higher so you feel my pen here. Run away from my pen. Yep. You're trying to bring your knuckles up to your forearm here. Trying to close this gap. Give me another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. So let's get you out of that, and let's do a couple wrist cars. It's gonna feel like it died for a minute, okay? That's kind of the point though. That's tissue that's understimulated. So what I want you to do is just get a couple really good wrist cars here. Don't let the elbow move. It's gonna be really tender, and you're gonna have to kind of work your way through it. Go real slow and just breathe your way through it. There's a big element of like keeping your composure and maintaining like a good level of breathing when you're working through like a problem joint like that. And that goes a very, very, very long way, because most people, again, when they have issues with joints, they avoid them. right? They like avoid everything around it.
Yeah.
Your job is to like rip that Band-Aid off in the most controlled manner you can. Nice. And then let's go reverse as well. Yep, you got it. Very good. Yep, keep going. All the way up, full wrist flexion. Yep, think about getting your knuckles up to here. You feel this squeezing now. Now go the reverse. And now let's get a couple reps with your palm open too. And keep your thumb like this if you can help it too.
Just like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Same thing, just good movement. Yep, watch that hand cupping. Awesome, exactly. Then full wrist extension. Nice, and then you're gonna feel the hand cup up here. Good job breathing. Full inhale, full exhale. Take your time with it, take your time with it. You see how that's starting to cup? Just be mindful of it. Your hand is trying to cheat to get you further. I don't really care to work your hand bones, right? I'm trying to work these bones instead. There's that saying, your body looks for the path of least resistance. Least resistance for you is for the tension to go to your hand or your elbow, and your wrist doesn't want to do it as much. I think if you did your other hand on your own time, you would feel the wrist being more okay with that range of motion. And then let's go reverse again. Well done. Okay, so just to recap what we just did real quick, because you lack wrist extension, there's not enough space right here. We open up the other direction, create space.
Okay.
So that we can go back into this. So we're gonna train wrist extension next. Like what we just did was to facilitate your issue, right? To work on your issue particularly.
Right.
Because your wrist has a problem on the side your thumb is on, I want you to do a thumb car next. So what we're gonna do is keep your 4 fingers completely still.
Okay.
Try to keep your thumb from doing this. I'm trying to keep it like fairly neutral, and I want you to work through whatever range of motion your thumb has so that we can ensure that this region actually has the appropriate movement it's supposed to have. And you might feel some popping going on in that.
Is it supposed to be going like all the way down?
Yeah, I want you to just see where can your thumb actually go.
Okay.
Let's have your hand go up like this for the sake of the video. So you're gonna be up. Yep, and then bring it up towards you. Yeah, man. Because your thumb is its own joint, right? And that contributes to this corner of the wrist.
Okay.
And so moving your thumb in isolation, separate from the rest of the hand and from the wrist, should like kind of get some stimulus there. All we're trying to do is stimulate tissue that is undertrained. And your wrist is now undertrained in that area because of injury and then lack of usage. You start avoiding things, right?
Yeah.
Your job is, again, just to stimulate it, to kind of bring it back to life, and then you strengthen it.
Okay.
That isometric you just did, where you're pushing against the ground, that's strength training. Like, how hard can you push? You couldn't push all that hard because your wrist is tender and it's injured, right? But the idea is that over time that becomes a strength drill, because the more force you can produce, the stronger that connective tissue is going to be. You and I are trying to train the connective tissue in your wrist, and the process is you move it, warm it up, you stretch it, you contract it by pushing the hand down, you contract the other way by trying to lift up, and then we move it again. Now we're gonna do the opposite, where you're gonna go one hand like this, okay? And we're gonna see if you get pinching and see how that feels. So let's get you in this position. Let's start with splaying your hands a ton, your fingers, yep. Do you have pinching here right now?
Not right now, no.
Do you have any kind of stretch on the backside? What I want you to do is keep your elbows straight and slowly lean forward into wrist extension wherever you can handle. Pause, let's start there. Is there any pinching through here?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
Is there any stretch on the backside?
No.
Okay, so you notice you have an impingement in your wrist right there.
Yeah.
So this might not be all that productive today, but you need to open this up first so that we can eventually find the stretch here. Okay, your wrist is just too locked up for us to actually manage this drill. But that doesn't mean we can't make use of it. So instead of stretching it, because your wrist clearly doesn't want to stretch, go ahead and without moving anything, think about pushing your fingers down into the floor, all of them. Like you're trying to grab almost, but I need you to keep that elbow straight. Yeah, maintain that same position, exactly. Do you feel a contraction on the backside at all?
Nah.
Nothing at all?
Not really.
Okay, do you feel the pinch still?
No.
You don't? Okay. Let's sit here and just keep pushing this down. Imagine you're in this position and you're trying to do that.
When I do that, I feel the pinch.
You feel the pinch?
Yeah, right here.
Do you feel anything on the backside at all? Okay, try to keep this completely straight and lean back just a smidge right there.
Okay.
Is there less of a pinch now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how there was like a millimeter of adjustment and now there's no pinch?
Yeah.
We're working within the confines of what your wrist can do.
Okay.
In a perfect world, we would have you like all the way forward like this.
Right.
it can't do that today. But the goal is for it to be able to do that, you know, a couple days, weeks, whatever, however long it takes, right? And then if you keep re-aggravating it, then obviously that's going to be slower. If you can keep it at bay and keep training it, then this will improve even quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions, comments on that so far?
Yeah, so the only thing that I was like kind of worried about, and I guess I don't know if it's because it's taken so much time to heal, is I was worried I was gonna re-aggravate it because of doing certain workouts. So I have like avoided some of that.
Okay, and that's probably a good thing for now. The way we would say it is that you have debt on this wrist, and if you keep exercising over and over and over again on a wrist that doesn't like it, you're taking out more debt. This is our way of paying off debt, and you're still in debt. And the idea is that you keep doing this, you know, twice a week, really well, productive. You don't re-aggravate it, then you start paying off your debt like anything else, like a credit card debt, and then you have no more debt. Then you can train the way you want to train, and then this is more productive too, right? Because you're not like walking on eggshells, you're not getting that pinch, so you just kind of have to pay your dues off in a sense, okay?
Got it.
So how about you lean forward until you go as far as you can without the pinch. Let's work with that.
All right.
Is there no pinch there?
Yeah.
And do you feel any stretch here? It's okay if not. Okay. So because you're not getting a stretch, we're just gonna go straight into an isometric. Can you go ahead and try to extend or flex your wrists, like pushing your wrists down, pushing your fingers down? Do you feel any contraction going through your forearm at all?
A little bit.
Okay, so try to squeeze harder then. So you feel the tension being driven from here as you push down. You need to be very conscientious and deliberate in squeezing with this tissue. Okay, like there's a very mindful component of it. Because your wrist is compromised, your body doesn't want to drive tension here. It's your job up here to drive tension there, right? It's a very deliberate practice.
Got it.
And so keep pushing down. Yeah, do whatever you have to do with your feet to get comfortable. And you feel the wrist still squeezing a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you dial that up anymore? So like if the volume's on the TV is at 20, can you make it 30? Or 40?
Yep.
And that's strength training, right? You're learning to contract your wrists in a lengthened, in a stretched position. And you just need to get better at that. That's a skill. So keep pushing down. I'm gonna put you on a bit of a timer. How about we sit there for like a minute and just keep tensing? Are you able to lean forward a little or no?
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay there then. So don't come out of this position. All this needs to be like locked in stone. And you're still pushing down and you feel tension still coming from here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Sit there and just keep creating tension. Like this is the drill, is isometric squeezing. Most people when they do like workouts, they would like strengthen their wrists like this. There's merit to that. What you and I are doing is just an isometric, not full range of motion. We're doing end range of motion, okay? The end of the joint is what you need most right now, and then we can do some reinforcement stuff afterwards. All right, you got 20 seconds. See if you can dial it up anymore. Can you make more tension happen here?
Yeah.
Keep squeezing. So if I tried to pick you up, I can't, right? Beautiful. We still got tension there?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 10. Is your wrist pinching right now or no?
It's a little bit.
Back out just a smidge. Is there less pinching there?
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going, dial it up. You able to still find tension here?
Okay.
Good. 10, 9, harder. 8, thumb 2. 7, push the thumb down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't move a thing, but relax. Now, try to pick all your hands up, all your fingers up. Do you feel this side of your wrist squeezing now, tensing?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Keep squeezing this. So if I told you to run away from my pen, stop touching my pen, and you see how you're actually trying to go deeper into wrist extension, it's the same thing we did initially where you went deeper into wrist flexion, but now you're going deeper into wrist extension, and this is where most of the tension is right now.
Yeah.
And there's no pinching, it's just a squeezing sensation, right? Beautiful, hold that. Keep squeezing, try to lift up harder. If you can squeeze it harder, that's strength training as well, right? How deliberate can you be with driving tension there? Give me another 10, 9, run away from my fingers, 8, 7, all from here, 6, try to squeeze that harder, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. So ease out of that. Might feel like your wrist died again. If that's the case, let's get some wrist cars. Move it around. I don't care if it's straight fist or straight hand or palm open, palm closed, whichever floats your boat. Work through it. Find full wrist flexion. Go back out this way. Yep. Watch that elbow. Nice. Keep that arm straight, the hand straight. Nice. That was a big pop there. And then go reverse. Nice, man. Keep that hand from cupping. Keep that hand from cupping. Yep. Nice. Let's go the other way now. Yep. Don't let this move at all. Nice. Very good. Keep going, take your time with it. And now let's make a fist and go through that with the hand closed. All right, and then what I want you to do next again is the thumb car. Okay, so we're moving the thumb through full range of motion. Right, the other hands aren't moving at all, or other fingers rather. Let's go this way next. Yep, all the way up and around. Slow, slow, slow. And think about squeezing out the corners of it, wherever your thumb can go. You see how glitchy that is? So try to keep it from glitching around. You're trying to create fluid movement through that. Part of it is a quality of movement thing. Yes, sure, you're tight, you could use more range of motion, but quality of movement goes a very long way. It's kind of awkward just to move your thumb, isn't it?
A little bit,
yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable too. We emphasize full wrist flexion and wrist extension, right, in both directions. That was at the end of the range of motion, right? I stretched you to the very end, and then we contracted. I stretched you to the very end, then we contracted.
Yeah.
But then we want to work the middle range of motion, right? Everything in the middle.
Okay.
So what I'm going to have you do is something pretty straightforward from like PT, is keeping your wrist completely locked there. Come up and squeeze. Okay, it's a really straightforward exercise, but the idea is that we use that drill to create more space, and now we're reinforcing that space, okay? And so the idea is that you need reinforcement in both directions. If this is too heavy, I'll get you a 3-pounder. It's not a big deal at all. Okay. But use this as support, kind of like how someone would do a preacher curl, right, with your elbow pivoted. You're doing like a wrist preacher curl where your wrist is pivoted. And yeah, have it all the way hanging off. Use your thumb and make sure you're squeezing. And then as you bring your wrist up, your hand up, do you feel a contraction there?
Yeah.
So think about squeezing that harder, right? Just like any other muscle, you'd squeeze as hard as you can.
Okay.
And then go ahead and let it go and open up. So you're trying to pull this apart and then squeeze. Beautiful. And make sure you're grabbing the dumbbell very deliberately and hard. I'm gonna grab you a 3-pounder also. That concept makes sense?
Yeah.
Let's flip you over and do the other way. Now I have a feeling this is gonna be a whole lot heavier for you.
It's gonna be a little weird.
Yeah, are you able to do that?
I think so.
Yeah, keep this locked.
So do I just
And extend up. How hard is that right here? Is it too heavy?
It's not so much the heaviness, it's just the motion.
Okay, is it pinching in pain?
When I bring it up, it's a little pinch.
See if that helps at all.
It's about the same. Like, I feel like I can still get it up.
Is it pinching or contracting?
It's pinching.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say we can't exactly do this just yet.
Okay.
And your job is to work on this with a heavier weight.
Okay.
Are you able, when you go this way, more the other way, like this, are you getting a stretch there?
I mean, yeah.
Can you try to pull your hand away from my pen more?
Like,
So other way, like further to the ground. Do you feel a bigger stretch when you do that or not really?
back here.
You feel it back there, you do, okay. And so that's one of those things where you can make use of your hand being in this position, but because you're so tight and you go up and you start pinching, you don't exactly meet the benchmark to do this that well.
Okay.
Right, and that's like kind of the problem where people would like typically have a wrist problem. They come into the gym and they do a basic wrist curl, but they don't even have the range of motion to do this without pinching. You need to do that setup and open up more range of motion so that you can strengthen your wrist, right? You don't have enough wrist joint space to do this exercise appropriately. Okay. And so you can use that as a benchmark for how much better is your wrist getting, right? Can I get into the stretch more comfortably?
Yeah.
Can I get into this without as much pinching? Can I do this drill without pinching in either direction? Okay, that's ways of you progressing. Not like people will be like, oh, how strong am I getting on my squat, my bench, my deadlift? I want you thinking, how far into range of motion can I get with less symptoms? And symptoms are pinching, pain, tenderness, discomfort, fill in the blank, whatever word you want to use. And those drills are going to be your way of opening up range of motion. This would be how you reinforce range of motion. Does that concept make sense?
Yeah.
So because the region of your thumb is contributing to your wrist, what you could also do is have yourself here and you're using the dumbbell to pull this region apart and then contract it, come up. So you can see it squeezing and then it would be stretching. Okay, so you're using the dumbbell to pull you into range of motion that you typically wouldn't be able to get into. Gotcha. Okay, so give that a try too, and definitely hold it at the base of it. Yeah. Are you getting any kind of stretch through there as you do that?
Still, like, it's just like slightly like right here. Okay. It's not as bad.
That's not a pinch though, because you're opening up. You aren't pinching there. So go ahead and work through a couple reps of this. So think about bringing this all the way up to here. Can you squeeze that? Can you like be deliberate and contract that area of your wrist? And then go ahead and let it pull out again. And in this manner, holding the dumbbell works because you need this to be far enough to kind of pull you into the stretch, right? Try to wrap your pinky around it too. Yeah. And let's slide your hand off just a bit more. Yeah, try that. Be able to find any kind of opening here?
Yeah.
Okay, and then squeeze it up. Think about like you're trying to close on my pen as you come up. So come up, come up, come up, come up, close on my pen. Can you get any higher? Yep, so you're trying to bring this to here, right?